Welcome to Social Media News Live. I'm Jeff C., and you're not.
And I'm Grace Duffy, and this is the show that keeps you up to date on the world of social media.
Today we're joined by Diana Gladney, and we're going to talk about live video trends and updates that you need to know about to grow your business. We're going to be chatting about the state of virtual events, how to make the most of them to grow your brand, your expertise, and your network. And we're going to talk about how to use live video to sell your products and services online, and why live video is here to stay, and how you can hopefully get comfortable with it. So Diana, so glad that you're here. How are you doing today? Excited you can join us.
I'm doing fantastic. Any day you have a good hot cup of coffee is a fantastic day. So it's a fantastic day.
I have a hot pot that I've already consumed, so that's why I'm a little today. So anyway, Chris Stone is here. He says, Grace got her mic rocking today. I guess that's an inside joke.
Chris, it's been a struggle.
Like it has been.
You would think I would do this. I did this for a living or something, right?
That's right. She has got it down. So let me give you an introduction of Diana, because if you don't know who Diana Gladney is, she helps simplify video creation for busy entrepreneurs. She teaches them how to use video to amplify their brands and grow their businesses. She takes this seemingly complicated topic of video marketing and tech and makes it simple and easy to understand and use. She's carved her unique path to become one of the most successful, most sought after video content strategists in the business. So Diana, I don't know if you know this or not, but when I was upgrading my camera, I did a search for how to get the Canon M50 to work. And you came up, and that's how I was first introduced to you. And that's actually what I'm using today. So you helped the show. Awesome. You didn't even know it.
Didn't even know it. You know, I knew I was pivotal to the show. I knew
that's
it.
Right. No, that's exactly right. Yeah, exactly right.
You are pivotal to the show in many ways. And I want to tell you, your team is probably the most professional. Amazing. They sent this complete bio as soon as we booked you on the show. They're like, here's our bio. Here's everything you need to know. And I want to talk about some of these YouTube stats shared in there. You have a channel with 1.23 million views and 14.4 thousand subscribers. I'm reading that because I want to make sure I got those numbers right. And you did this over the span of like 5 years, which is amazing. Can you tell people that may be meeting you for the first time today, how did you get started in live video? What is your story?
Yeah, for sure. And thank you so much. I would definitely let the team know. It's such an honor. I'm glad that you were treated well. So that's always a bonus. How I got started in video was honestly very reluctantly. I'm not the person that enjoyed being on camera. I would just switch out the same 7 photos across the last 4 years on Facebook. I bet you didn't see this one yet. So it was not something I was super interested in doing, but it was something that my business coach actually challenged me to do. And when I first hired him, he was like, okay, you need to be visible using video. And I'm like, okay, well, what does that mean? And he's like, well, I need you to take your phone, go record a 60 to 90 second video. And I also want you to start getting comfortable with doing live video. And I'm like, clearly you haven't seen, I'm rotating the same 7 photos on Facebook for the profile. No new photos ever, but just those same 7. He's like, yeah, you need to change that. I'm like, okay. Walked around the house trying to figure out the angle and all this stuff. And it sucked. And getting so hot and sweaty, it's 90 degrees, 1,000% humidity outside. Finally sit in the car and do a video. Got the Whitney Houston lip sweat thing going. It is horrible. And I did the video and I was like, you know what? It wasn't that bad when I watched it back. And then first went live on Facebook and it looked terrible. It's lime green. The lighting was wrong, or just everything was wrong. I'll put it that way. I can't even pick every little thing from the audio, video, and the lighting was all terrible. But it looked lime green. I kid you not. But it's I went to work that next day and one of the coworkers had saw it and I was just like, it sucked. It's super embarrassing. And I was an older lady. She was like, you did great. And I was like, no, it sucked and I need to quit. And she's like, don't quit. She was like, you got too much in you and too much going on to quit. She's like, just keep going. And I never will forget that. So it's between that woman, which her name was Miss Deborah, and my business coach that really helped to keep it going, because it absolutely sucked in the beginning and I was not comfortable or wanting to go live. So, but that's how I got started.
That's
That's
awesome.
awesome. We owe a debt of gratitude to Miss Deborah and your business coach. And as we can see in the comments, they are responsible and inadvertently for a lot of
Right.
very expensive
So
camera purchases.
I wanted to bring that. I wanted to bring that up because first of all, we got Sabrina who shows up every week. She is awesome, Sabrina. Thank you so much. Happy Friday. It's me, Sabrina. Happy Friday, Sabrina. It's me, Jeff. Right back at you. And Ian is saying, "Oh, this is going to be a big treat." So our pal Ian Anderson Gray is in the house too. And he's the one who said we can blame Diana for all our camera purchases. Yes, not just cameras, a lot of other things as well.
There are a lot of things.
Chris says Diana is also responsible for me leveling up a lot of my gear. Her videos are amazing, and just by this intro we've already talked about. Ian says I love Diana's videos because she's real and authentic and shares so much valuable stuff. A great point by Martin. He goes, video is a key element in sharing my deep executive career management and advancing my business. We're going to get in all to that today, Martin, especially for people who may be on the fence about, using video and live video for growing their business. So we're going to talk all about that. But I want to do first a big shout out to our friends over at Ecamm. They have this amazing conference coming up called Leap Into Live Streaming Bootcamp, and you can find out more about that at leapintolive.com. And you can see right there, look at that. Diana is a keynote speaker. She is right up there with Pat Flynn and this other bearded guy. I'm not a keynote speaker. I'm just, they just left the door open and I walked right in. But it's amazing. It's a free event. It starts September 13th through 16th. They do have some upgraded options if you would like to check those out, but it is free. So go register to that at Leap Into Live. I know Diana always gives great information. Like I said, a lot of us here have spent a lot of money because we see the value of live video, what it can do for our business, and we have followed her advice. So leapintolive.com, go and check that out. So first segment, Grace, we're going to be talking about virtual events and live video learning. So take us away.
Good segue, Jeff. So
Perfect.
we have been inundated with virtual events over this past year, but they certainly aren't new. I remember BlogHer 2007, 2008 being in Second Life and that being like, that being just rocking our world, right? But over the last year, we obviously technology's leveled up, our confidence on live video is leveled up, and it's become pretty much mandatory to be doing things virtually. And, there are some fun things that we miss out from the in-person events, like being all together in a room, but virtual events have lowered a lot of barriers to attending. You don't have to travel. It saves time and energy. You can consume the content on demand, so you can multitask and slot it in with the rest of your day. And in many ways, it's more convenient than in-person events, as much as we do enjoy being in person, but it does require a different approach. Now, people are starting to have more of these, people are starting to have in-person events, but virtual is still a big deal. Obviously, Leap Into Live, which we're all very excited about starting next week, right? It is next week, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
I believe so. Yes.
I don't think we mentioned that. I was just like, it is next week. Sorry. And so, brands are, for example, Ecamm brands are like stepping in and creating their own events, just like our friends over at Ecamm. I know Agorapulse and Thinkific has been doing it for a while. And, brands aren't waiting around to sponsor, like waiting around for conference organizers to plan something for them to sponsor. And the cool thing is with this being virtual, anyone can do it, but can they all do it well? So Diana, my first question to you is, tell us what makes for a very successful virtual conference experience from a brand perspective, from a brand wanting to create their own event or around their own content or something that they want to do even for their own fans, followers, customers, whoever.
Yeah, for sure. I've definitely spoken a lot and I've attended a lot. And if you're going to host your own event as a brand, the things you need to be looking for is efficiencies and organizations. Those need to be your two best friends throughout your whole thing, because we only think about what we want to do, essentially like what we want to share, who we would like to have attend or be there with us to, maybe bring up the quality a little bit or have certain speakers, all that great stuff. Okay, that's a given. And that's like by default, you're going to get some of those different elements, but that doesn't make it a good thing. You want to make it painless for people to attend, knowing that the ways that they plan to join via phone, tablet, TV, or their computer, most people would sit at a desk or at their computer And it's like, no, you really need to think about the efficiencies and the organization to make sure, is the website or the different pages optimized for mobile, as well as mobile also including the tablet. And then that's vertical as well as horizontal. And not just thinking about people are going to attend this from their computer in a home office setting space like this, but they very well may be watching this on their television. Most of your data and analytics will tell you exactly how people are consuming your content, even just for your regular YouTube videos and things like that. That'll give you some insight. The other thing is organization. A lot of times they'll miss it where the attendees have to keep asking and refiguring out, where do I go to watch? Where do I go to engage? Where do I go for community? Instead of having all of that stuff laid out and segmented out of how the attendees can join, where they can find stuff, and having a hub or a portal that is not confusing. That's a huge, huge big thing, because a lot of people get confused very easily and feel like they're going to miss out on something, whether it's paid or free. And then the other half of that is for the speakers. Where do they go for their speaker side? And if they're just going to view and attend a session, where do they go and how do they do that? So you need to think about all of those different elements. So from an organization standpoint and efficiencies, those are huge, because that can save your team a ton of time, and just even you, the organizer. And even if you're just doing this on like a small scale, if I decided I wanted to do one, the same rules apply. And I don't care how big or small it is, same rules apply, because you want something that's scalable and that you can, divvy off certain tasks to certain people and know that they are not just getting a task or a role, but they're getting efficiencies in a system to implement.
So let's talk about, because I know, one, we all are nerds here and we like tech. So can you break down what a brand would need to host, and I guess a brand could be yourself as well, host a virtual event from like a tech or a video perspective? What kind of like cameras do they need? Do they need to go buy out this, there's so many types of like virtual conference software there's out there now. Do you have one that you prefer, or some basic tech setup that you need to have before you get started?
Yeah, I think that is dependent on the vision. What's the vision for what you're trying to do? Obviously, I can easily say, get Ecamm, but okay, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to have something where you need to bring multiple people, or you want like a grid of people behind you or in front of you or whatever? So it really depends on the vision. At a basic setup, if you're just going to be two camera presenting, then honestly, you could do that with something with your website. Whether that's an unlisted video or you're using something where you have a dedicated integration for that, that's fine. If you use Zoom, cool. But the technical side of things, again, it really is dependent on the vision, because you need to think about not purchasing individual things, but what does the audio system look like? What does the video system look like? It's easy to say, just get this brand, model, specific, whatever. But that may not be conducive to everyone's vision for what they're trying to do. But I think at a basic level, you're looking at something with a mirrorless camera that has clean HDMI out, which means you can take an HDMI cable, connect that to your camera, use something like an ATEM Mini or an Elgato Cam Link to transfer that data from the camera to your computer so that I can see that image. I do recommend using Ecamm Live, and I honestly recommend even going to the extent, even if you are a PC user, to go ahead and get something like the Mac Mini, those M1s that just came out, because they're fantastic, they're fast, and you want to think like 2 is 1 and 1 is none, which means if you only have one camera source and that camera goes down, that goes away. So if you want 2 camera sources, you need to double up, and you can do things like renting. That does not mean you have to buy. You can rent. I usually use Lens Rentals and recommend them. They're really, really great, and they make sure you get everything you need in the box. So you can rent for something like $100, $130 for like a week or more, depending on the gear. So you can rent out these tools at a very minimal cost. So again, 2 is 1, 1 is none. We're talking about HDMI cables, capture cards, whatever it is that you need to transfer that data. Now, when you're talking about software, again, I do recommend Ecamm Live simply because you can have it branded. It's going to be recorded locally, which the Mac Mini can handle. And I've even done this with a 2016 MacBook Pro. Now, I'm not saying everybody do that, but I have done it with 4 cameras, and those cameras recording internally and live streaming, and no problems. So if you have something like that, cool. But again, 2 is 1, 1 is none. Now, audio, Same principles.
Mm-hmm.
What is the setup going to be for the speakers? Are they going to be standing? Do they need a wireless microphone? Because now you need to be thinking about testing their audio for the individual voices. And I love to do cheat sheets. So that means if I have speaker A, they have a very strong bravado, very strong kind of a voice, I need to know exactly what their numbers are. So I may say your number is 14. Like if anything we touch for you, if that's your perfect number for your perfect audio, 14 is the go. So if I hand that off to somebody and it sees that it's at 12 because somebody else was using it before, we now need to go and reset back to 14 for you. So I like to do what's called like presets for the audio for each individual speaker. If it's just you, you still need to know your number. I know my number is 67% on my computer strength for the audio, and that's going to be at half or 50% on my Rodecaster Pro for me to have consistent audio no matter where I am. So it's always going to be like systems. The microphone, if you have something like this, cool. If it's going to be sit down, something like a Rodecaster Pro, a pod mic or whatever will let you record internally for as long as you have the power connected and things like that and recording with the memory card, and you're fantastic. I've done, was it like 12 plus hours of something like that? Mm-hmm. And it went off without a hitch using the Rodecaster Pro. So at a base level, stuff like that, the more advanced that you're trying to do, then, now we need to look at what does that system look like? So I like to use Ecamm just simply because I can integrate it with anything of what I'm trying to do. I don't have to worry about some of the limitations that maybe other programs may have because it maybe only is kind of for streaming, or maybe it'll lose a signal. I always have that local recording and things like that. And I don't necessarily have to be live to use Ecamm or integrate that. Even with Zoom, still have this branded look similar to like this show and stuff like that.
Awesome. So I wanted to come back with a couple of points on this. Is one, I loved your idea of having backups because that has saved my bacon more than once. In fact, I used, everybody was talking about AirPods when they first came out. I never used Bluetooth monitors because I've had them crash in the middle of a live video and then you can't hear anything. So I love these. These are like the MEEs, like studio. Yep. They're super cheap. They're like $15, but I have another pair because I'm always backing up over my chair with them, and I've broken some cords, and I have one sitting right over there that I could grab if I need to, because hearing your guests is kind of important.
Absolutely. And
the other thing I wanted to talk to you about is when should somebody look at, like if they're a brand or even an individual who's put all this time and effort and they're doing a launch or they're doing a virtual conference, when do they need to start looking at like something as like a remote producer, like something you have done, like you were talking about earlier? When is the time to like looking at like, who can I offload some of the camera switching, setting up, and I can be the host and just do my thing?
Yeah, I think after you've at least done some solo live streams, so you don't need to have done some kind of completely out of your comfort zone live stream show, but I do suggest that you have gone live before, at least at a very basic minimal setup. Like again, mirrorless camera, capture card, computer, microphone, the whole deal there. Have done that before, at least a couple times, because you will then see there's some stuff that I can't tell you, like you literally have to experience. Like you said with the headphones, you think, oh, $15, these are fine, blah, blah, blah. You didn't expect to roll over the cable, but now know I need a backup. So things like that'll help like I ran into this problem before, I had this issue before, blah, blah, blah. So when you do hire a remote producer, like maybe let's say you've done 3, 4, 5 live streams before on a regular and consistent basis, not like over once every 6 months kind of a deal, because that's not consistent enough to know or have any experience to, where it's frustrating or you find those key points that need to be altered. So when you hire somebody, you can come in with, instead of just pointing at somebody else's show and saying, I want it to look like that, you can say, here's what I've done. Here's the problems that I've run into, and here are things that I do not like, and here's what I hope to have happen based on this. And yes, based on this other show's model, I would like to integrate X, Y, and Z elements into what I'm doing. That's a much better process. And honestly, it's a much better way to help the remote producer actually fulfill what you're asking them to do. Because what happens is, and I hear this from a lot of colleagues that are in the business and that is their full-time gig, it is the day of the thing, and they're like, well, where's this and where's that? And all of these, expectations that were up in the air that never were verbalized or put into the contract. So if you're going to hire a remote producer, at least have done some solo live streams so you got your feet wet, you're in the game at least. So when you do hire them, there's something you should offload because it's not something you want to undertake if you're not familiar. Because even having done a tremendous amount. I think I know well over her several hundred like live streams, just solo live stream shows. It still is work. So let alone if you are new, like 5-6 live streams is still new. So you don't want to have to do all the stuff yourself. So if you're going to hire somebody, at least come in with a clearer plan than just pointing to somebody else's show.
Yeah. That's a great point. I wanted to bring up some comments really quick. Ian says he really loves the idea of the individual speaker presets. Really, really smart. And he also says backups have saved his vegetarian bacon on many occasions too. I've had that vegetarian. That's not bacon, Ian. I'm sorry. It's not.
Well, as Diana was talking, I was looking around my space here at like how many sets of headphones I have like ready to plug in case something goes wrong.
Yes, exactly.
Second cameras around me.
So I want to you mentioned a little bit ago, you talked about having cheat sheets, and I want to make sure people know that if they go to DianaGladney.com, that you have a great live video cheat sheet, kind of the getting started there as well. So that's a great resource on her website. That's DianaGladney.com for you guys listening on the podcast. So make sure you check that out because it's a really, really well done, well thought out. You know, I got my camera from Diana that I use, the Canon M50 that we're using right now, and her setup for that. So, Grace, I know you had some really interesting stats that you found from Bizzabo. Yeah. So talk about that.
So one interesting stat from our friends over at Bizzabo is that 80% of successful virtual events are free. So free is lower that barrier. It's become the standard. You know, I know that Leap into Live is free to register, but engagement remains a challenge. So another study, gathered responses from 400 event marketers, and 68% of them believe that the greatest challenge for virtual event marketers, I am one of them, is to get and keep attendees engaged through your virtual event. And to combat this, more than half of them have said that they've tried to make them more interactive. They've tried to limit events to smaller audiences, smaller setups, smaller lineups, whatever, or they've made it possible for attendees to network with each other outside of the presentations, but still don't talk in class, apparently. So how do you keep attendees engaged and interactive when you're doing a live video presentation or webinar? Now, we're here live and we're seeing the comments and we can interact with them and bring them up. But sometimes when you're doing these live presentations, it's just you talking to a camera and you don't see the audience because of whatever setup you're on, or you see the audience, but you can't really interact with them, or there's no Q&A set up. So tell us, what are some of the ways that you've learned to keep people engaged and interactive while other people are presenting?
Well, to be honest with you, if I'm the speaker, I will ask the organizer how accessible is the community to me during the presentation, because I do want to have interaction. Now, I get how they traditionally will want stuff, but I also know how I teach and how, if somebody is learning from me, how I'm best going to help them digest that information. Because what most of these events are doing is taking a big old pot roast and stuffing it down people's throat and wondering, why are you choking? And so it's like, yeah, I would like for them to use those teeth that they have in the front, side, and the rear, and, you know, help it get down with, here's a glass of water and stuff like that. So what I will do is ask, what is the norm and how is this supposed to run, and what permissions I have to alter this? Because what I'll do is, in my presentation, there are breaks for you to take notes. There's breaks for questions. And even if I can't actively answer those, I still make them actively put that into the chat so that I can go back through and pull those. And if I can't pull those up in real time or address those at that moment, or depending on what system we're using and how it's working, then fine. I still want them to put their active questions in the chat in real time, because what happens is, instead of asking them to wait until the end, you forgot what the question was, or you've moved on to the next question that is popping up in your brain as we've moved through the presentation. And so what I'll do is, if I'm allowed to, I'll have music where I built into my Rodecaster Pro, like same way I do a stream mix, a live stream mix. I'll do a teaching mix. So it's music that's timed, and I can start playing it and we're good to go. I'll increase it. And then I'll decrease it like, okay, we got 10 more seconds. So it makes you think on the fly. Like you have to get this out. Think of something. If I say, give me what you want your next microphone or your next audio to sound like, what don't you like? Find something. You got 30 seconds that makes you have to answer a question. That also drives engagement, and you get the Me Too factor in a positive way to where people are saying, oh, yeah, I also have to deal with this, or my kids are loud. Me too. Like, how do you deal with that? And now that it drives engagement. Now I can continue my presentation, but by the time I get to the end, now we can go back, revisit some of those things, or they may have gotten an idea from somebody in the chat. So that's one of the things as far as a organizer is concerned, and like me as an attendee for an event, it's optional in the sense that it's not that big of a deal if I come or if I don't. And that's a problem because that means the organization has made this too generalized. And so anytime you're doing an event and it's too general, then it's like, I could go to Walmart or I could go to Target, but everybody loves to go to Chick-fil-A. Even though it's like the same stuff, is not a whole bunch more added to the menu. You know exactly what you're going to, it's a niche experience. So if you're going to do an event as an attendee, even if it's certain days, I would rather see attendees be able to attend niche days so that they know, like, I cannot miss, like, video day is on Monday, like everything video, I need to go. Audio stuff, maybe I'm not struggling with that. So that's fine. So now you can more directly say what is happening or going wrong versus assuming that a speaker sucked because they didn't get a whole bunch of attendees. It's like, maybe they were just stressed the hell out after they got out of this one roast stuffing session, that was great. They just couldn't digest it.
Yeah, I think that's great. All this talk about food, though, I'm telling you, it's always before lunch. And even Online Video Mastery says, love that post-pot roast metaphor. Don't choke people with your live content. So, and Sabrina, thanks, Sabrina, for doing this. Simplify your video content strategy to amplify your brand is a thing over on Diana Gladney's site that she shared with us. Thank you so much, Sabrina, for that. One of the questions, so we talked about virtual events. I want to go back to when you're training, like you on your channel, your live video content. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite guys to watch, and I watch him every Saturday, is Nick Nimmin. He does a great job of helping people with their YouTube, and he's got like 300, 500 people watching every Saturday a live video. So what I want to ask you is, like, how do you engage with your live video audience when you're teaching? I know Luria Petrucci talks about having different places where she stops and brings up comments or questions. Are you looking at how much they're talking to one another to see if they're getting the point you're trying to make? How do you do your live videos when you're just teaching, like on your stream, like on your YouTube channel, and not event? What are you looking for engagement?
So the one thing to note is, like, you can train your audience to operate in a certain way or to have like a certain culture when you're live. And so knowing that I'm going over technical things, I'm going over areas of frustration or things that people are, struggling with, they're really going to want to focus in those specific segments. And so I'll, like, if I'm doing just like a Q&A or maybe we're answering questions or something like that, then if I know I'm covering something very specific or I'm going through the details for what do the numbers mean on a lens kind of a deal, you're already confused about that. If I keep stopping to go and answer this person's question and then I go back and I was like, okay, now where were we? That's breaking the flow. And it's not really helping you to fully get clarity and have that click when I'm explaining something. So I'll go through and I will let them know. Feel free to go through in the chat. And again, actively drop your questions. I'm absolutely going to answer them. But I want to make sure that you guys get that. And if you're watching this on the replay, go ahead and this part will be timestamped. So if you just need this segment, then you'll have this uninterrupted and then I'll dive in. That's giving the people that are live, knowing that if I don't talk to you for like 2 minutes, I haven't forgotten about you. And I told you I'm going to come back and answer the question. So I have a track record of answering my questions in a live stream. So they know to trust that. And then the other thing is for the replay viewers. So I'm addressing both audiences at the same time. The replay viewers know that even though you missed it live, that's fine. You can see the questions as they come up in the chat replay. But if you only just need to watch it, you don't need to engage or whatever, you're still well fed here just by watching this specific segment. And so I'll rotate in doing different segments and then audience engagement segments and audience engagement. And that's fantastic. Also, when you're looking at it from an entrepreneur's perspective, because you can repurpose that content and you didn't stop to say, hey, Susan, hey, Billy, hey, Katrina, good to see you in the middle of a good tip or something because you lost them. So it's just really about understanding how your audience learns and how you teach And where are you messing them up as the educator because you keep stopping to think like, oh man, they're going to get mad at me. No, I just told y'all, like, hold on for 2 seconds. I got you. Don't worry about it. So after you do so much of that, they trust you.
Yeah. One of the things, and Owen says, thanks, Owen, for stopping by. Yeah, he says, Diana is fire. People watch the replay, optimizing for replay, which you just talked about, and segments are huge. One of the things that, and this has come just from Grace and I have done so many live videos, we always have a ton of questions, but a trick that we have learned is that we look ahead, and if somebody in our audience has asked a question that we were going to ask anyway, I'll pull up their comment. Because even though I was going to ask it anyway, being able to interact with the audience and saying like that's their question, even though I was going to ask it before, that fits in your flow. And you talked all about that flow that you have going down there. Being able to do that, I think, works really well also, and it makes you look really good to your audience at the same time.
100%.
Yeah. So, Grace.
Don't tell them all our secrets.
I know. Sorry, I had to. Owen was in here, and I was trying to impress him, so that was why.
I know. We got all nervous when Owen was here.
I know.
Like,
geez.
Your dad's in the room. Everybody's straighten up.
That's right.
Oh yeah, everyone's sitting up straight, combing our hair. Yeah. So we promise we're going to talk about virtual events as a way of networking. Now, of course, when you're in person, we're so accustomed to that. Like you meet up the happy hour, you meet up at the hotel bar, you meet up, like you're seeing each other in person. But how can attendees of these virtual events make the most of their experience, knowing also that they are very likely at home or wherever they usually are, and probably still doing the things that they're normally doing while attending your virtual events? Because again, one of the things that makes it really easier is that you don't have to travel. You can be where you are. So how can attendees make the most of their time and to network through these virtual events as an attendee?
For sure. Like you have to, one, on the organizer side, let them know how and the where. And like if you have footage from last year, snippets matter. Like find the smiling, the hysterical laughing. Even if you're talking about like white chocolate versus dark chocolate, which is something I always throw in there because it gets everybody riled up. And I'll say dark chocolate is the worst chocolate in the world. And people are like, I can't believe, and everybody starts cracking up laughing. That's a snippet. You don't need no audio needed, just a snippet of the laughter. And it's like, here's what you're missing when you're not in the hallway, the digital hallway. Here's what you're missing when you're not in the Facebook group. Here's what we're doing, because it makes it something that's super desirable. So you want to make sure that your attendees are making time to attend it. It can't feel optional or like no big deal if I missed it. Like you need to feel bad when you don't, like, not to like put them into like depression, but like, but it's like, dang, I'm missing it. Like you need to have that fear of missing out because you actually are missing out. And so as an attendee, it's like, you need to also set a goal for why are you even attending this event? What are you hoping to get out of it? If you have a hope and a desire, like I want to leave knowing exactly all the things I need to buy for a live stream, feeling confident enough to execute on that live stream. And number 3, knowing what to do with that information or that live stream afterwards versus just feeling like I got to throw it all away and it was one and done and it's over with. So it's like those may be your 3 deliverables with the thing. That's how you know what events to attend, but that also lets you know who you want to talk to that's in the room, that's in the hallway, that's in the Facebook group and stuff like that. So it's a little bit of both from the attendee side, because otherwise you don't want to join because you feel like you're going to waste your time and everybody's going to be plugging their deal like Clubhouse was at the beginning. Early stages, it's like a little bit about me. Here's when I first was born, I didn't know I was born. It's just like, what? So stuff like that matters. And you just have to not give them the fear of missing out, but literally here is what you are actually missing out on.
Awesome. So do you have any good or cool ways, maybe some examples to use live video to network with people? Because, I've been to a lot of events and a lot of them the content is amazing. And I see software that's happening that helps facilitate networking a little bit easier. But do you have any other cool ways that you have used, maybe some hacks or some tricks to use live video to actually aid in networking with people?
Yeah, I love to take stuff that has nothing to do with nothing, because everybody comes in with the digital suit and tie on, and everybody feels stressed. They don't know how to really talk to each other because you can't feel any energy, rather. But you have to curate that energy in the room. So maybe if you have a guide, that's always helpful. If you have like breakout rooms or breakout sessions or Facebook, like have some kind of music that's fun I'm not like the person that's going to dance on screen and all that. I love Luria for that. So it's like, I'm going to throw her in the room next to me. It's like, I'm not dancing Luria, but I'll put you up there. So,
Right.
it's like, that's super fun. And so it's like, oh, okay. It lets them know, and it kind of lets them take their shield down to say, okay, cool. It's not like I feel like I'm in an interview. And then I like to throw in other things that have nothing to do with nothing. And that's usually my grape jelly versus strawberry jelly. And I'll tell them like, well, only strawberry jelly is on the buffet in heaven. And so it's like, or, dark chocolate versus white chocolate. And that gets a rile out of everybody. And then we can go into, so icebreakers shouldn't just be icebreakers, but points like, I get to know something about you, versus just like, oh, tell me about your favorite food, versus saying, I'm giving you a polarizing something. So still using like psychology elements mixed with personality elements. So you really get to know what people, and it's like, well, where are you from? Or may wear a Cardinals shirt or something like that. And it's like, oh, go Cards and screw the Cubs. So, it's like stuff like
Right.
that, literally polarizing things. But you'll learn a little bit about me. I'll learn a little bit about you, so that the networking is really about now developing community building instead of like, here's my business card. It's like, let's hang out on Instagram, or when you go live, let me know. I'd love to come hang out with you, kind of a stuff.
I think those are great. So one of the things that, all of a sudden I can't switch my camera back. So we're going to stick with Diana here. Let's see what's going on here. There we go. Oh, we're just going crazy. So there we go. Hey, this is live video, folks. That's why you have these experts on.
The name of the game.
That's right. So one of the things we just talked about, how to network. But one of the cool things now, we're talking about this virtual learning. LinkedIn has added this new live streaming events for the LinkedIn Learning platform. So our friends over at Social Media Today, they reported that LinkedIn's learning platform has seen this increased demand, providing a direct avenue to some professional skills development, and it's going to go with these job listings on the platform. We talked with Vivica von Rosen a few weeks ago about this great resignation that everybody seems to either be switching jobs or starting their own thing, and how to actually make your LinkedIn profile, kind of reflect that. So we're seeing a ton of upheaval in the job market, with people that are either looking for their next gig or leaving their gig to do something else. So this new thing is going to be on LinkedIn Learning. It's going to help up their skills. They've added this new element to, cater to remote workers while providing more support and personalization. And they launched this capacity for LinkedIn Learning instructors to host live events on the platform with this feature called Office Hours. So do you do much stuff over on LinkedIn? We're seeing a lot of engagement over LinkedIn. Have you checked out any of these new streaming events on LinkedIn? If so, what do you think about them?
I've seen some, and my team and I were trying to get more of a focus onto it and just kind of find like that right platform to help integrate some of our content strategy over there. But from what I've seen, it still is like a very much hesitation between corporate and creators. Right. And they're trying to introduce creators to more of that corporate vibe. And it's kind of like, I don't know. So it's about, I think most of that, I've seen some and I've registered for some, and it's just, again, it's just that weird kind of a mix. I think what's going to be important there is culture development. So even if somebody is hosting an event there, it's like really understanding culture development there. If you are doing something that's more creator-esque focus, then, understanding where are these people coming from when they actually attend. And if you're coming from a more of a corporate perspective, again, understanding where your people coming from and what are they hoping to achieve, because it can go both ways. So if from what I just seen on as far as LinkedIn, yes, like, yeah, the engagement is high, but it's like, where are they going and what are the next steps? I think that's going to be huge for that information.
Interesting. So Owen goes, thanks, Owen, for pointing that out. Jeff Buttersinger, all this talk about food, folks, and candy and jellies, I'm telling you, you're killing me. You're killing me. Yeah. So anyway, so you mentioned that your team's kind of going, looking at LinkedIn. Do you think that creators should look at LinkedIn as a place to at least stream their content to, or should they focus on, like, if they're a YouTuber, stick with YouTube, forget about LinkedIn?
No, I definitely disagree. And I think the where you go depends on where your people are. Who are you trying to reach with what specifically? And what do they specifically need help with? And a lot of times the entrepreneur community needs help with a lot of stuff that they're now having to, be introduced with. Even a year's time since last year, and, having to start live streaming, they've had to figure out a lot in a small amount of time. And that still can be super frustrating because in a year's time, they very well may still feel confused about a lot of elements. So I think there's a lot of benefit that a lot of YouTube, Instagram, even TikTok creators can bring to the platform, not just about reposting literally the exact same stuff, but literally maybe altering the header. So really focusing on your copywriting at that point and understanding how can I better communicate with this audience here. I think it's really no different than if you did a TED Talk around a specific thing and you're in a different audience and you're like, okay, now how can I tailor my message? Same stuff, but tailor it so in a way that is, again, digestible to them. Because it could be a roast, but it might be a burnt roast that you're pushing down their throat because it's in the wrong format. So I think it's a lot to contribute there. I just don't think you should go there for the sake of just being on another platform and trying to be everywhere. If you're going to be someplace, be there intentionally with the intent to help somebody do a specific thing. So I think that's going to be huge. So if you are bringing like your YouTube content, don't leave that YouTubery content stuff. Like hit the like button, hit the share, leave a super chat. That stuff doesn't exist on LinkedIn. So if you're going to take yourself over there as a creator, understand who you're talking to and what do they need and what really need help with and how can you tailor your message and really get some copywriting skills in there so that it's more digestible to them.
Awesome.
That's really good advice because LinkedIn has definitely invested a lot into native video, live video lately, but they have their very much their own ecosystem over there.
Right.
I will just
For
say.
sure.
So, yeah. So I wanted to go into our next topic of live shopping and social selling. As we know, we are coming up to I call it the high shopping season. And whatever it is that you celebrate, you're probably looking for gifts and retailers are looking to sell them to you. So some interesting stats I found as I was researching this is that live video sales are expected to almost double in the US this year to $11 billion and hit 26 billion by 2023. So it's something that is definitely growing as we are going live to Amazon Live as we speak. And according to Coresight Research, who is doing this, in China, the market is already headed towards 300 billion. Now, of course, we've talked to our friend Stephanie Liu on the show in the past about live shopping. So that's something that's taken off definitely in Asia. And we're watching that over there to see what the trends are over here. A lot of the social media platforms have already gotten on the ball with the live shopping. So Instagram, looking to further its in-stream commerce push, launched a 10 days of live shopping event at the beginning of September. TikTok has announced a new partnership with Spotify earlier in the year to expand their e-commerce offering. I know I've seen a couple of live shopping events that they've done with Walmart and with Neiman Marcus over on TikTok. And then even brands they're not even waiting to get in on these deals. They're launching their own. So Beauty Counter partnered with buy now, pay later app Klarna, I think is what it's called, for their live shopping series. So except for Shopify, a lot of these deals tend to be very exclusive with select partners. Awesome if that's you, but most people selling their products at least our audience tend to be small business owners or just getting started with live shopping, or maybe don't have the budget for these big splashy partnerships and campaigns, but I believe they can still use live video to sell their products. So talk to us about how to go about doing that.
Absolutely. You got to think about the whole visual experience that you're giving someone. Most people think I just need to come on and say the right things. That has nothing to do. Like you see, your eyes are super sensitive and that triggers an emotion. It takes time for the words to process for you to actually get to a thing where you feel it. Not that you can't, but I'm just saying, like, if you see something without any words being said, like, it triggers something for you mentally. And so understanding when you're doing live video content, I would say really think about with intentionality of what it is that you're sharing, showing, and selling. To do this, you have to think about the message that you're sharing, what video content, imagery, points of very specific things that you need to zoom in on or already have pre-prepared content. So thinking about the B-roll, which is your secondary footage. So if I'm on screen, this is that A-roll, that your first primary footage. The secondary footage, like if I'm talking about something, and this is fine if you don't own everything, you don't need to buy everything you're going to talk about. Or even if you're like an RV company, you don't need to literally be in the RV or outside of it to showcase it, but have very detailed pictures, not this Facebook marketplace stuff that has Vaseline over the camera lens photos, but literally a good, decent, clear picture for people to see. And if you're going to say, we have X, Y, and Z kind of tires, maybe go out to your lot, take a photo of the tire tread so that they can actually see it. Little details like that make the huge difference. If you're using something like Ecamm, you can have whole videos prepared where you're able to give your kind of like, it's like when you would watch a movie and you have the director's cut. Okay, well, let's give that director's cut version of like when we first came out with this product, we weren't sure if it was really going to clean the pool. So here's that first installation. Here's the second one, the version 3 that's now available for the after Thanksgiving sales. This is what you're able to see. It could be a TikTok video of somebody else using your stuff and showing how great it is. And you're just giving that commentary across it. That kind of stuff sells the product even without you having to say all the different details. Nobody wants to hear a spec sheet, all the little details and intricacies. They already researched it. That's why they're looking to buy it already. Cover that, but go in detail with the things that the buyer actually wants to see. What are things that people are talking about, but nobody's showing? So if you're sharing the message, what are you showing? And then you can go through and sell the product. Make it very easy. Stop coming up with these long URL, www. I forgot what name I was going to use.com type stuff. Like, make it easy for me to buy. Like on my phone, I'm watching on the computer or TV. Can I go to my phone? Put a maybe QR code reader, because most cameras and smartphones now, you don't need an app anymore. You just can hold it up to your thing and make it easy. So if you have, again, this director's cut commentary you want to purchase, QR code in the bottom, here you go. Want a downloadable QR code right here so that they can buy or add to cart and keep watching. You just want to make it super painless for people to do business with you.
I think those are some great strategies. One of the questions, and I'm interested that you said that you don't have to own everything. And so, for example, I use, even though Owen made fun of my camera switching, I love the Stream Deck. I mean, I use that for everything.
Okay.
You see all the stuff that all the camera angles, everything we're doing is all tied to the Stream Deck. I have 2 of them. I have the small one, I have the big one. I love it. And so it's easy for me to talk about things that I love when I'm doing this live shopping or social selling, and we're over on Amazon and people are seeing that and they can click down on the carousel and buy the Elgato Stream Deck. But how can explain a little deeper, I guess, on stuff that maybe you don't own? Is it stuff that you've had in the past or the stuff that you want? How do you integrate things that you don't actually have that you can hold up for the camera?
Because you have creator content. So if my buddy Doc Rock has something, I can be like, here's somebody that is, and it's even better at that specific thing, because I do not have the proper use case for every piece of gear that I may talk about. What I actually use is way more than what my customers, clients, and community actually purchases. They buy way more stuff than I do because I don't need all that. I'm a plain Jane and proud of it. I don't need that like 7 different camera angles. Why? Do you want to see my feet up under the desk? I don't think so. So it's like, I'm not doing all of that. But if you have a vision for what you want and what your studio to look like, here's the gear that you need. And here's a prime example of somebody in your use case. And here's how they're using it. Again, a breakdown. It's the same reason why we love the History Channel. They weren't there doing the Mesopotamian, like nobody was there. But they can do a geological breakdown for how this worked or how this now, whatever. We've never needed to have every little piece. So I think it's kind of financially irresponsible even to try to buy everything. But I can give you proper use case and educational knowledge around it. Dynamic microphones versus condenser microphones, there's a slew of them. But here's what you need in this specific use case. And here's an example of somebody that's not me. So it's not like me trying to sell you, but you make your own purchasing decision. Is this right for you or is it not? Or is there something else that I would recommend to you that you say, yeah, that looks like me, that sounds like me, and that is something that I want. I don't have the same tonality as most women as far as the voice. Some have a much higher tone of voice. Some have a much lower tone of voice. So it helps me if I'm saying this is my microphone and this is what I use, but here's what I recommend if you have a higher pitched voice. Here's what I recommend if you have a lower pitched voice. And now you can decide and make an educated decision. So you can have photos, and you can have video clips, which I love to do, and even have those audio sample clips and stuff like that as well, just segments. And you can pull it out. Always put like a watermark courtesy of or from such and such website or their URLs to make sure they always get credit, link in the description type stuff. But I don't need to own everything because I'm just looking for the proper use case for the right person so you can see, is this going to fit your needs or not? That's all.
Awesome. That is a great thing. So we get such good guests on here. The time flies. We're getting, short on time. So I want to move on to our next section about live video, because all of us here love live video. And Grace, I know you had some points that you wanted to talk about real quick, because we all love it, and I don't want to skip it. So go for it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, live video is definitely here to stay, and it's more and more the norm. But an Entrepreneur magazine uh, it published this article a few weeks ago. It gave 3 solid reasons why, and that is the community, the connecting virtually, whether it's a virtual conference like we're talking about, or just your day-to-day meetings. It's no longer the exception. It is table stakes, and businesses need a video presence. They absolutely need a video presence. And then, of course, there is this demand for niche content. Like you were just talking about all the ways that you could sell products. My brain was just buzzing at all the different things you could do. And so as you're talking about each different product, I'm like, well, that's a niche, that's a specific need, that's a specific need. And you can serve all of those with live video. And I know that you are a video expert, especially on YouTube. Sorry. And so we want to wrap up our time with you focusing on that platform, which meets all 3 of those needs, which is community, branding, and education. So some quick YouTube stats are there are over 2 billion monthly active users over on YouTube. It's 122 million daily active users. And this is what got me: 1 billion hours of video content uploaded on that site a day. 1 billion hours, like a million lifetimes there, right? So I run our YouTube channel over at Restream, and we've been at it for a while. I have a wonderful video producer. I have everything going for me, and it still feels kind of overwhelming. Is YouTube too crowded for someone who is just getting started right now, who is watching this and thinking like, oh, I should explore video? What do you think about what would you have to say to them?
I would say most people assume that YouTube is too crowded because you are stuck in your mind comparing yourself to everybody else and what you do or do not do and feeling like you should do it. And now you have both sides of the coin and you're like, I'm not good enough. When in actuality, it's not about, it's really not about being the everything to everybody. I'm very comfortable with saying no, or I don't offer this. And here is where I do recommend somebody that even I enjoy watching, that I think you get a lot of value if this is what you're looking for. Because now, instead of just finding one creator, you found 2. Nobody drinks water once, literally. Nobody drinks water once. And that's not because literally like our bodies need it, but it's the sense to saying that you go to a restaurant, not just more than once. You enjoy that experience multiple times. You enjoy certain kind of hamburgers multiple times from different creators, fish, chicken, you name it, right? I'm sorry about the food. I must be hungry too. So. But that is the thing to understand. It's like, so when you find a good creator, it's what are you going to get from that creator? What experience are they going to give you? It's not, you do not need to be everything to everybody, but you do need to be very important to a one specific type of person. Not that you won't attract others, but I'm specifically targeting a unique, specific experience for a dedicated person. And I am 1,000% comfortable with saying you do not belong here and you are not going to find value here for certain people, but you're welcome to stay. And that's to say, like, if you're a photographer or you get a cinematographer and you really want to go into filmmaking, I am not your girl. If you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to figure out this video stuff and you're struggling to figure it out, I'm your girl. And I got some other folks along with you. Or if you do want to get into filmmaking, here's where I say go to get that. And it's fine. They're like, okay, cool. Thanks for not wasting my time, or like making me feel like I was missing something, or I should have been here, or you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's just really letting them know you're in the right space. So YouTube is not crowded. Your mind more or less may be crowded with the ideals and ideologies around what you think you should do, but it's really not. You can serve a specific person with your unique message very, very well on YouTube, even today.
Cool.
I love that, Diana. I needed to hear it. Thank you.
So my pleasure.
You made Grace's day. That was worth her
really
showing
did.
up today.
I think I'm going to cry now.
So I wanted to talk about, before, this show is sponsored by our good friends over at Ecamm, and they have this great virtual summit that we've been talking about all day today. It's the Leap into Live Streaming Bootcamp. You can find it over at leapintolive.com. Make sure you go register. It's totally free. Go check it out because Diana is speaking as a keynote there. It's next week, September 13th through 16th, Leap into Live. But I wanted to ask, yours is about how to keep up with the evolution of content creation. So I want you to talk about a little bit about your keynote and what people are, if they're interested in that, what they can get from your session.
Now, I'm not going to say because I'm doing the keynote or one of the keynotes there that like you shouldn't miss it because it's me, but I'm not going to say that you should. You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, definitely watch it. But yeah. I would say that the reason why this like topic is extremely important to literally every creator and every entrepreneur is because content creation is going to change. And you're coming into this thinking you're going to find a comfort zone level. And I'm here to tell you, don't even think about it. And I want to explain to you why, but I also want to encourage you and give you some next steps when it comes to being able to keep up with these changes. Because the same way, like most people won't do a thing like get started on YouTube, or they'll quit because of an assumption, not because of any empirical data. And I want you to know that like content is ever going to be changing, but that's going to be based on people. So your people need to be your focus, not the platform, because you can take your message anywhere. And how that's happened traditionally or across time, really, but really for where we are right now and where things are going, things are going to change next year. It's going to be a whole nother different social media website platform, even though it may still be under youtube.com, tiktok.com, or instagram.com, or even linkedin.com. Those will still be the same. The culture in the communities and the way you can deliver your content will change. So it's really about solidifying your message and being able to adapt to any medium. So that's why like the evolution of content creation and like keeping up with all these platforms and stuff is not about chasing everybody's algorithm. Algorithms are based on people. And if you can get the hold of that, then you can survive any of these things. I think that's going to be extremely important because most people just want to get into comfort. And I really want people to embrace the discomfort of being able to switch platforms on the fly, but maintaining your core message and knowing that your audience is going to be there no matter where you go.
That's awesome. I always tell my kids, nothing that's ever good that's happened to me has been easy. It's always stretching. It's always going to the next thing. It's getting on live. It's trying a new show. It's, listening to Grace. It's all that stuff. So, I mean, so Grace has never steered me wrong. Yes. Yeah, so before we go, Diana, let people know, the best place to find you, what you have coming up other than Leap into Live, of course, but other places that they can download some of your guide and all that kind of stuff.
For sure. You can find me and everything that I do at dianagladney.com. And even on Instagram, you find me at Diana Gladney. Twitter, if that's your jam, is just at Diana Gladney with the number 2 because I messed up the first one. But current things I have going on is just a new course that we're launching. It'll actually be the week following for Leap, which would be on the 20th of September, which is masteringmicro.live. Still take you to the website just for the landing page, but that's about taking entrepreneurs to understand what to do with that pillar content, your live stream content when you're done, or even your regular YouTube videos, so that, again, when you go into social media content strategies, you really know how to execute and deliver this platform in a systematic approach that doesn't stress you or your team out. Even being able to produce upwards of 70 videos out of a piece of content is very, very easy when you understand like the what to do and the how to do's in a systematic way.
Absolutely. And tell us about that series that you launched recently. You were telling me about it before the show, and I definitely want to get the word out about it because it is so cool.
Yeah, so that is our Being a Creator series. I think a lot of entrepreneurs get frustrated thinking they need to be everywhere, do everything, and how do I manage being into this content creation space, and I already run my company full time and maybe have a family and all these other demands on your time. And so the series is more of a behind the scenes vlog, documentary vlog style series where I actually take you in to see what my week looks like. What does it look like when I'm working with my team or even doing talks like this? And just when things go right and also when things go wrong. And it's like, what are we changing and adapting to in real time keep up with stuff? And it's like, this happened, this went wrong, this failed. And here's the changes that we're making. Let's see next week how this pans out. So the Being a Creator series is that documentary vlog series that we're doing. It's once a week. It's every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time.
Thank you.
Awesome.
I can't wait. I love it. Yeah. I love that. I love that whole concept.
So Grace, real quick, where can people find you and all the goodness that is Grace Stuffy?
You can find me over at Restream. We have an incredible YouTube channel that I manage that with a bunch of content. Our friend Owen is on there. He does a weekly show on how businesses can use live video to do everything from launch a product. And he was doing a really cool series on different verticals, like how doctors and dentists use it, how musicians use it. So definitely go over and check that out. And we have a whole slew of content from a ton of brilliant video creators.
And don't forget, this show is also on YouTube. It's also a podcast on Spotify, Apple, all the podcasty places you can find us. We would love for you guys to leave us a rating and review. And as always, thank you so much for Ecamm sponsoring the show. And don't forget about their Leap into Live. And with that, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks to all of you for all your great comments, all your support, sharing it out. I see Rhonda, I see Juan, I see all these people. Martin, thank you guys so much for showing up and spreading the love across the socials today. We really appreciate it. And with that, I'll leave you with this commercial starring Diana Gladney. So see you guys next time. Bye now.
Are you ready to take your content to the next level? The live streaming market is booming, but with so many options out there, it's hard to know where to start. You've heard about doing live video and other video content on platforms like LinkedIn and Facebook, but you're not sure how to make the most of this or how this is going to help you with your business. You're not sure if creating a YouTube channel is going to help you get more customers or it's just a waste of your time. We will walk you through everything you need to succeed in live video with this 4-day immersive virtual bootcamp. We've got all bases covered, from choosing the right platform for your needs, planning an event, recording epic video content and editing it into something awesome, scheduling posts on social media, promoting your videos, and monetizing them effectively. This course is designed for everyone from total beginners who are just getting started in live streaming to those who want to grow their visibility and increase business by creating more valuable content. Leap into live streaming virtual bootcamp.